Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler, powered by Coolbet Canada.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to a Friday inside the Lock Shop. Super Bowl just 2 sleeps away. Huss, I cannot wait. This is exciting.
Oh, dude, the last couple nights have been, well, I don't want to say sleepless because there has been some sleep, but it hasn't started at the same time as normal because I've been staring at the Coolbet lines for hours trying to whittle down picks. I mean, I could easily throw 50 bets on this game right now with everything that's out there, but we're whittling it down to around 8 each for the Lock Shop. Obviously, we've done the props, and now it's time to get to the game. And I'm looking forward to getting Patty on as well because there's so many interesting things that are up on the board if you want to make Sunday afternoon a little more fun from a wagering perspective.
Yeah, you said you could put 50 bets on this game, but you are going to put 50 bets on this game. I feel like when it's all said and done, you're going to be like, well, I got to have a piece of this and I got to have a piece of that. It's tough not to.
Well, listen, when you have the script, of course. Listen, I was one of the lucky ones. I got the script at the start of the year. We had the Mahomes MVP. We got that nice fat Chiefs future. So anyways, as you said yesterday on the program, take my picks for what they are worth. I'm wearing a Chiefs jersey. I am a Chiefs lifer. You'll probably get some more unbiased picks from Dusty and from Pat. That being said, I have the script. So let's go.
All right, let's bring in Pat Gregoire, of course, with Coolbet Canada, the presenting sponsor of the show. Patty, how you doing?
Doing good, boys. I'm not too sure. Maybe the sports books have the script as well because most of the risk is on the Eagles right now, money line and spread. And you think with more money coming, you would think that the line would move, but it's staying. We've seen a little bit of movement on the money line, but the spread has stayed the same. Like, am I taking crazy pills here? Like, isn't that how it's supposed to work?
I was assuming that we probably get a bunch of public money betting Mahomes closer to game time, and that number would probably come closer to a pick 'em. It is interesting. I mean, we've seen the first move at all over the course of the last 3 days to plus 103 is the time that we're banging this one out, and it's minus 109. At one point, it was minus 108, minus 110, but still with that minus 1.5. How many people are actually betting the spread, though, Pat? I mean, to me, this is a money line bet game, regardless of which side you're on.
Yeah, I think the majority of the action that we're seeing in this game is the money line. There are some people who are buying it to, adding to teasers. That's pretty popular. But the majority of the bets, you'd feel like an absolute imbecile if you picked the Eagles to win and it came down to one or vice versa. But the real thing is as well, I think there's really only been one Super Bowl won by 1 point in the last 20 odd years or whatever. And that, of course, was a Bills game. No reminders there, although I don't even remember it. I was still in diapers at that point. But so this likely will be a field goal, a touchdown. Don't want to give away too much there, but that's what I think. So you might as well just play the money line. You're really not getting that much more value if you're looking to add some points here with the Eagles.
Well, and from a Chiefs perspective, I don't want to live in a world where I win the bet and they lose by 1. So
exactly,
it's a money line wager when we get to the game itself, Dusty.
Patty, we did our player props yesterday, and today we're going to dive into our official game picks for the Super Bowl, and of course some game props as well. Let's start with game props for you. Do you got anything that you're already on here heading into the weekend?
Well, I'm going to wait maybe for my money line, the game pick. But in terms of game props, yeah, especially the outrageous ones. Like I have a bunch. So I'll hammer out a couple here.
Yeah, give it to us.
First time out, Chiefs, minus 115. And, Andy Reid, unbelievable coach, Hall of Famer. But let's be honest, not the greatest game clock manager by any stretch of the imagination. They've called the timeout first in 15 of their last 19 games. And on the flip side, on the flip side here, fellas, I know this is Sirianni's first game in the big game, younger coach, but the Eagles are super conservative when it comes to timeouts. This is nuts. I saw this on Twitter a little earlier today. They've only called 10 timeouts outside of the last 4 minutes of a half. So they really like holding on to their timeouts in that 4-minute range, or, to extend after the 2-minute warning. So for me, the fact that this is both minus 150 on each side, and yeah, I know there's a ton of different factors that can go into this, but giving Andy Reid's history with the timeouts and the fact that the Eagles tend to just hold on to them as long as possible, I really like that one there. Quick one here, tails on the coin toss, because everyone knows tails never fails. Cool thing about what we're doing at CoolBet, once again, you're getting it at even money both sides. A lot of books, you'll see it as a minus number on each side. Well, we're going at plus with the no vig there. So that's always a cool option at CoolBet. The Gatorade shower, this one's interesting for me. Usually a lot of people think, correlation with what color's their jersey? Does it match the team? Well, that's not always the case. We saw last year with the Rams, it was blue. So yes, that works that time. But we've seen Tom Brady with the Bucks also electing to go with blue. A few years ago, Super Bowl 54, Andy Reid was showered in orange. And we saw Sirianni showered with green and lime/yellow. So that was at the NFC game. So for me, both these numbers at plus 200. So this actually might be a way that, and it's a little bit of a galaxy brain of thinking, but if you think one of the teams are going to win on the money line, maybe you might get it at a better number, getting it at plus 200. So I'm going to go with orange at plus 200 because we've seen that line move like crazy for the green, yellow, and lime once everyone saw that Sirianni got covered during the NFC Championship game. So I'm going with that. My last outrageous one, and then I'll let you guys dive in and dig in here. But Chris Stapleton is the anthem singer. The guy knows how to drag out a song. He's a country music artist. The last 2 country music artists to perform went well over 2 minutes. In fact, the over has hit in 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls, but not one of them have gone over that 2-minute mark. And since Super Bowl 38, when Beyonce went over the 2-minute mark, only 6 artists have gone over 120 seconds. Everyone's hitting the over here. Absolutely everyone. So this leads me to believe that although a lot of the numbers are kind of saying like Stapleton's going to make this all about him and drag it out and have it going on and on and on, fading the public, it's a big number. So I'm going to take the plus money. I believe it's at plus 115 and hitting the over. 127 seconds is a long time.
It is a big number. And I'm with you on this. This is one of my plays today as well. We'll get to it in a second. I found out about a Kevin Durant trade a couple of nights ago. Well, diving into this, I was watching, like, there was some great breakdowns because there's no video of Chris Stapleton singing the anthem anywhere, right? But I went back and looked at it. I think one of the of the Super Bowls that have gone over 207, which is what we would be looking at here. The one was a duet.
Yes.
With Eric Church, I think, right? That's 2 people. So that's outside of that, man, it's usually a steady diet of at least under 207. So I know Chris Stapleton likes to drag things out, and I love hearing that the public's all on this over because I think he's going to come in at like 203, 204. I've seen it set at 205 in some places. So that's why I love this 207 at CoolBet. I'm getting on the under here.
Exactly. Sorry, go ahead, Huss.
Well, and just while we're talking about this with Chris Stapleton, and Dusty, you, of course, are part of an award-winning country music podcast with our pal Rick.
Yeah.
Is it just me, or is there great value on the main color of Chris Stapleton's hat to be black at plus 350?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know enough about Stapleton. I know in a lot of the videos I watched last night, because I'm very sad and trying to get into this, it was more of like a strawish color hat, right? So I don't know if there's that number makes me think it's like he's like an anti-black hat guy when you see that number, right? So I don't know.
Exactly. It's usually the straw hat, or even if it is a little more of a structured one, it's like the same color, but like This is the Super Bowl. This is literally his Super Bowl. This is the biggest stage. He does like wearing his suit, but then he'll still wear the straw hat. So the iconic Stapleton hat is straw, but I could totally see. And again, you're getting it at plus money. Like it's a sprinkle. I mean, there's a good chance this goes over. It's tails. And I'm an absolute shambles before the ball is even kicked, and I'm chasing live bets. Stay responsible, stay cool, bet responsibly, by the way. But there is a chance this could explode my face, or I've got a nice little reserve here to hit some live betting opportunities, which I do think. With the total where it is right now, there is a lot of opportunities where I think you might be able to bet that live total, depending on how the game kind of starts out. So. But of course, we're looking at what's pregame or some of the odds that are set right now. But definitely some live betting opportunity to have.
Hey, one other thing on the coin toss as well. While we're talking about some of these pregame markets, if you're kind of going back and forth, heads or tails, but if you don't want the pressure of calling it yourself, you can also get even money on yes or no whether the captain correctly calls the opening coin toss.
Right.
So you can take the risk out on yourself and put your faith into whoever is calling the coin toss at even money as well. Little different way of playing the coin toss if you don't want to take heads or tails.
And I'm sure probably the lock shoppers right now are wondering, like, hey, Patty, Huss, like, where's the over 3.5 field goal prop? It's at plus money. But, like, when you look at it, these two teams are near the bottom when it comes to kicking field goals. Jake Elliott, I think, only averages like 1.2 field goals per game. Like, although I do think these defenses are kind of, well, I think the Eagles are getting a lot of respect. I do think these defenses are a lot better than what people are kind of projecting and thinking that, it's just these two higher powered offenses. You look at the total. But with that being said, I don't know. I might just sprinkle it just for fun. It's a principal bet. It's a primetime. It's the most primetime game possible that you can. So I likely will sprinkle it. But there's also some alternate lines as well out there that you can bet if you don't like the 2.5. If you think there's going to be more, you can bet 4.5. You can bet the under on even 1.5. You think there's really only going to be one. So a lot of options, no doubt, a cool bet. We're up to 710 markets right now for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know we could spend 24 hours doing a prop show. I mean, I honestly think we could do 24 hours straight setting up the Super Bowl. Anything else from a game prop perspective, or I mean, you said you're going to wait a little bit to get your money line pick in, but what else are you on here for this game on Sunday?
Yeah, well, I'm going to be heavy props, as you guys heard yesterday on the show, no doubt, and probably more going to happen. There's more exclusives that will be rolling out as well. But for me, like, Huss, I think I'm going to end up betting the Chiefs. I just haven't done it yet. I just don't want it to be, in 10 years, we're, sitting at a bar and we go, remember that time that Patrick Mahomes was an underdog in the Super Bowl against Jalen Hurts? Wasn't that stupid? I don't want to be caught on that side of history. I really do not. So I know there's a lot of question marks in terms of injuries with KC. The defense, the secondary is certainly questionable against this high-powered Eagles team. But for me, I just really have a hard time betting against Patrick Mahomes. I think this is a legacy game, and it can kind of flip because if he loses this game, now it's like, 2 Super Bowl losses. I think the conversation of like comparing him to the next Brady kind of slows down. Like, this is an opportunity to really establish himself as the next big thing in football.
You might convince me. You might convince me just yet. We'll get to our picks here. Patty, we got a bunch to dive into on this episode, and thanks for joining us yesterday. Thanks for joining us today, and enjoy the game, man.
Oh, I will. You guys as well. And thanks for all the hard work that you guys did with the lock shop during this football season. It sucks that we're almost done football season, but as everyone knows, still got a ton of sports left on this calendar. And I'm looking forward to popping back on talk a little hockey later on.
We'll be betting
Maybe-
XFL as soon as it kicks off.
yeah, the CFL's coming up as well.
exactly.
Free agency here. Yeah, where football's not too far away.
The only
let's be
reason
honest.
football exists is for us to bet on it. It's that simple. That's how I view it.
Yeah, and the lock shop isn't going anywhere. We have the mandatory Day of Darkness on Monday, which should be a national holiday everywhere
Yes, it
in North
should.
America. We all know that. You guys can do whatever you need to do on Valentine's Day, Tuesday, CFL free agency as well, and then we're right back into it. Hockey, hoops. Man, I don't know. Is there going to be anything left to bet on for the NBA trade deadline since everything happened over the last couple of days? Just absolutely bananas.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
We'll maybe take a look at the new landscape of the NBA futures after all the player movement is done too. So there'll still be lots for us to get to in the lock shop. Enjoy the game,
100%.
We'll talk to you next week, buddy.
Well. Good luck, us.
There you go. That is Pat Gregoire from Cool Bay. Find him on Twitter at P. Greggy. All right, Huss, let's do our player. Let's do our game props first. We gave you a player props yesterday on our episode of the Lock Shop. We'll give you our game props right now, and then let's dive into our official game picks as well. Let me just modify move some things around here, and we will get our game props up right away. It's so hard to limit it. Like, it's fun diving into it, but it's insane when you actually have to settle on a few props. I want to bet everything one way or the other. It's very frustrating.
No kidding. No kidding. I mean, as you can see, there were so many options. And you know what? For the lock shop, I kind of kept my picks to some of the things that are more game related, but as we've seen, I mean, you've got the one with the Ovi shots involved in there. I mean, there's some wild cross-sport props as well. So we'll get into this, but listen, this is sort of a tease. I don't think anyone's shocked that I'm picking the Chiefs in the game, but I do think this is going to be a close game. And when we're talking about the total, which has been going from 51, now it's at 50.5. Before I even saw the number, I was asked early on after the championship games what I thought the game would be, and I thought this would be tight. Obviously, I'm riding with the Chiefs. And my prediction was 27-24. Well, that is exactly 51. And I'll say this, Dusty, the bookmakers know what they're doing. I mean, they routinely come in almost nailing these games. So I actually feel sort of good about that, where it's at. Now, I guess I'm going to take over 50.5. But considering I'm looking at this game to be so close to where the total is, I had to get it at 50.5. I mean, I wasn't going to pick a push at 51.
Yeah.
But part of that, I mean, you can get some different scaling of degrees of victory. So I like plus 300 for Chiefs to win by 1 to 6 points. Listen, I think Philly's good enough. Their defense is going to keep them in this game. Who knows? They could be up, and Mahomes may have to do what he did 3 years ago and come back in the fourth quarter. Bottom line is, I don't think either of these teams are running away with this game. I'm on the Chiefs, so I'm going to take Chiefs to win by 1 to 6 at plus 300. Got a couple of sack props, and I do like Chris Jones. We talked about that yesterday. I'm going to jump on the Chiefs to record the first sack.
Okay.
At plus 115. But I'm also going to take total sacks under 5.5 in this game. And listen, I think just the nature of the way the Eagles offense runs and how much running Jalen Hurts does, I think that naturally, you might be getting a couple sacks, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were 1 or 2 yard sacks, like just behind the line of scrimmage, but technically counting as a sack. Mahomes is going to have his head on a swivel, and he'll be trying to get the ball out quickly. They'll try to establish the run. And I just think that his skills in evading big losses in his own backfield will do them well against a hell of a defensive line. I mean, that really is going to be one of the most important matchups. So I'm taking the under sack total for the game at 5.5. And I do think that my guy Chris Jones maybe gets that first one. So at plus 115. Now, we talked a little bit. Patty mentioned those first time the timeout. That was one of my favorite picks as well.
Yeah, when he said it, I was like, "This is Huss is on this too."
I'm on this as well. Andy has no problem using a timeout or two earlier on, and Patty did a great job of laying out how conservative Philadelphia has been when it comes to using their timeouts. And to their credit, they've used them very wisely, getting their defense to get them the ball back late in quarters and grinding out points right before the zone. So the first time out for KC, minus 115. I like that. And the first coach's challenge overturned at minus 118.
Because you got to be on it if you're going to actually use the challenge, right?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that when this happens, whenever the first penalty is challenged or the first event is challenged, I have a feeling that the coaches will have a pretty darn good idea that they're going to win it. Because, of course, if you lose that first challenge, you don't have the opportunity of getting a third. And, I think that both of these guys will have people in their ear giving them the right advice. I mean, it's too big of a game to screw up something like that. So I think there's some good value at first coach's challenge to be overturned at minus 118. And then the final one, this is more of a game prop overall. Time the final play completed.
I love that we can bet on this.
14:59 Eastern time or earlier. Now, again, Central Time Zone, we're starting the game at 5:30, 4:30 out in yours, but it's 6:30 in the Eastern Time Zone. So essentially this says 3 hours, 45 minutes, which is usually right there in the game. Bottom line is I think the Chiefs are going to be trying to run the football. How well they do on that, I guess we will see. And certainly the Eagles have an offense that is based on ball control. And the one thing, and you look back at the Commanders' win over Philly, and Ron Rivera talked about this week, you want to beat Philadelphia, the best thing you can do is keep the ball, have long clock-eating drives. And that's been a hallmark of the Kansas City offense this year. I mean, no longer is it 60 yards to Tyreek Hill, bang, bang. Patrick Mahomes is passing it to everyone. Interesting prop on number of receivers on Kansas City that will catch a pass. The over-under is 8.5.
It's 8.5. Yeah, I looked at that last night. Yeah.
And I mean, it's a pretty tough number to go over on, but it absolutely could happen. Mahomes has routinely gone to 9 or 10 different guys, and I think it'll be all hands on deck. But the bottom line is I think the game script, not the script, but just the game script is going to call for probably a few less clock stoppages than you might have in a normal Super Bowl. So I think there's a little bit of value in this one ending earlier than 10:14:59 Eastern. That one's at minus 125. So those are some fun plays that I'm already in on a cool bet for the game on Sunday.
Yeah, I've got just under a handful here of game props as well. I already talked about the anthem with Stapleton, 207. I'm going to take the under at plus 115. I've got the list here in front of me. So the number's 207. I'm taking the under 207. Anthems that have gone over that recently, Eric Church and Jasmine Sullivan. That's a duet, so I'm not really going to count that. Lady Gaga went 222. Alicia Keys went 236. I mean, Lady Gaga and Alicia Keys, pretty unique style of singing. Now, you might say, same thing can be said about Chris Stapleton. But outside of that, I mean, if you go back to Super Bowl 44 and on, Carrie Underwood, country singer, 141. Luke Bryan, country singer, 204, and that one was set at 209, so he came in 5 seconds under the number. So everybody seems to be on the over on this one. I'm going to side with Pat from earlier. I'm going to take the under Chris Stapleton here at 207. I probably like this play I'm probably more confident in this play than I am even my Super Bowl pick when it's all said and done. Philadelphia first half. This team starts insanely well. I like Philadelphia first half money line at minus 125 if Kansas City wins this game. I think they're not going to have to come from far behind, but I do think they'll be trailing at one point here against the Philadelphia Eagles. So I'm going to take Philly first half money line at minus 125. The Eagles to score points, 3.5 as far as players scoring points in this game for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to take the over 3.5 of minus 135. You're going to have your field goal kicker. I mean, automatic, going to score some points. Jalen Hurts all of a sudden makes it very interesting because if Jalen Hurts runs into touchdown, then you just need 2 other touchdowns from either any of your receivers or Miles Sanders or Kenneth Gainwell. So I think the fact that Hurts gets involved when they get inside the red zone just lean me to really like the over 3.5 players scoring points on the Eagles at minus 135. And then I had to get in on this one. Always my guy, you know this. I actually broke this down last night. I went and looked at all their game logs. So Alexander Ovechkin has only gone over 3 shots in 2 of his last 8 games. Okay, so it's been 3 or less in 6 of 8. Devontae Smith has had 5 or more catches in 7 of his last 8 games. And that was the last game. He didn't have, he had a little bit of a quieter game. So I will take Devontae Smith receptions over Ovi shots at -147 on Super Bowl Sunday. And I like that one a lot.
Yeah. And let's face it, I think that these noon games on Super Bowl Sunday,
they just want to go watch the Super Bowl.
Exactly. I wouldn't be counting on any Hart Trophy winning performances from anybody in any of these games, to be honest with you. So like that one as well. And here we go, the big game. No surprise, I'm on the Chiefs. And as I said, I think that right now 104 plus 103, if you're a Chiefs fan, I think you get in at this point. I mean, there was a couple times in the early part of week 1 where the Chiefs were as high as plus 113, then plus 109. But basically, for the better part of the last 4 or 5 days, it's been locked in a plus 104, and I've just seen plus 103 today. So I have a feeling that this one will come down a little bit as we get closer to the game. But as far as the total goes, Dusty, as I mentioned, this has just been back and forth in the last week from 50.5 to 51. Opened at 49, but as the prognosis for Mahomes seemed to be getting better and Chiefs getting some players back, they added about a number 1 on it. Listen, you nailed it. The 3-4 Eagles to score, it perfectly lines up with 24 points.
It does. You're right. It does. 3 touchdowns and a field goal. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I love the 27-4. I think of the same thing before I hopped on today. I was like, man, I think 27-4 is probably like that score there. Maybe it ends up being 30-27 or something. But I'll get to the Eagles in a second. We're both on the over 50.5 here. But as we've gone through this episode, I mean, we talked about the Eagles being able to run the ball and control the game on the ground. You said Kansas City might kind of want to do the same thing. Like, are we overthinking it a little bit? Should we be on the under here at 50.5, or are we getting sucked into Mahomes and Hurts and it's a Super Bowl and it's gonna be a great game? I think it's gonna be tight either way, but I'm wondering if this game script might actually lead to an under now. I'm panicking.
Well, I'll be frank. Of all the bets that we've made, this is one. I mean, I'm betting this because you have to bet the total and we have to make a pick on it. But honestly, this is not a strong lean. As I said, my prediction is this thing ends on 51. So if it's 51.5, I would take the under. If it's 50.5, I would take the over. And I wonder if there's a prop for exactly 51 points. You can probably nail that.
I'm on the Eagles money line here, but I see myself already teasing an under 56.5 and Chiefs +7. Like, just give me my money right now. Like, I think that definitely fits the script here as well. Look, I am going to go Eagles money line. I should have got an Eagles jersey and wore it today just so we could go head to head here. We know. Look, both of these teams they're 14. We talked about it earlier in the week. They're both 14-3 overall. They scored the same amount of points. I do think the Eagles are a little bit healthier. Well, I don't think it. It's a fact. The Eagles are a little bit healthier than the Kansas City Chiefs right now. And they've got better weapons offensively outside of Travis Kelce. I mean, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, who we talked about on our player props episode on Thursday as well. Decent 1-2 punch at running back. With that being said, I mean, if Kansas City can get Jerick McKinnon involved again, I think that would go a long way. I wonder if there's a sneaky Super Bowl game coming for McKinnon, even though he hasn't been that effective as of late. I think in the Eagles defense can make some plays here. I think that's going to end up being the difference. I like their secondary. Obviously, they've got a great pass rush. They have a chance here, depending on what happens in this game, to set the record for most all-time sacks in a season. Since they brought in Ndamukong Suh and kind of solidified the middle of that defensive line, Hassan Reddick, I mean, I think their defense ends up being the key to this game, whether it's one big moment or just a really nice game overall. So I'm a little concerned about Hurts being on this stage for the first time, but I asked Pelissero about it this week. I asked Rappaport about it this week. And they said Jalen Hurts is not a guy that appears to get rattled by the big moment, right? Like, he's just not this guy who has this huge ego and is going to get, be maybe late. Now, it's not Patrick Mahomes. Mahomes has been here multiple times. I thought it is. I got out of my car today when I was coming back into the house. I said, to me, and I know they're better than this, but to me, kind of like Pat said, are you going to be that guy that didn't bet on Mahomes as an underdog in the Super Bowl? But to me, the one advantage here that the Kansas City Chiefs no doubtly have is Patrick Mahomes. I think you can make a case the Eagles kind of got the advantage everywhere else. But is that Patrick Mahomes advantage enough And it very well might be, but I'm going to go with the Eagles overall as a team, healthier at minus 122 here.
Yeah, coach and QB. Give me Andy Reid. Give me Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, Randy Reid. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, listen, Sirianni's fascinating. I mean, this is the first time we talk a lot about Jalen Hurts' first time on the big spotlight. I mean, Nick Sirianni is not the most experienced head coach, although it's pretty hard to criticize him for anything that he's done so far this year. Bottom line is, I think we're going to be in for a thriller. I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to come right down to the wire in the fourth quarter. And for that reason, I'll always ride with my guy, Pat Mahomes. But one thing I think we can all bet on is that Sunday is going to be awesome in Super Bowl 57.
It's going to be amazing. You're going to be in Vegas. You enjoy that trip, buddy. Get some rest on Monday. And, of course, the Lock Shop will be back heavy. We got a bunch of NBA, NHL, XFL coming. We got tons of stuff to bet on as well. So that's going to do it for our Super Bowl episode. We're going head-to-head. Eagles, Chiefs. It should be fun. Lock Shop's hoping for an over. Also, watch the exclusives. We'll have a Lock Shop Super Bowl partner parlay that will be posted at least by Saturday, if not sooner. So watch for that as well. And look, I'd like the Eagles to win. I cash the Eagles win. I am going to get on that teaser I just suggested as well. Maybe I can hit in a couple of different ways. But best of luck to you, my man. To see the Chiefs bring home another Super Bowl would be pretty awesome for you.
Well, then obviously, I mean, and the great thing about doing the Lock Shop with you is that we spent so much time in August looking at props.
Yeah.
I think that 11-1 that I got the Chiefs to win in August was the best line at any point in the entire year. So it paid to be all over it before the season started. And hopefully I'll be cashing that ticket and a bunch of others in the myriad of sprinkles we're throwing down for the big game. It should be great. Enjoy Super Bowl 57, everyone.